I guess let's get the show on the road here. And we'll try to keep it to a half an hour so it's not too boring. We are recording, so hello to future viewers, if it'll end up on YouTube or Facebook or something like that. Hopefully everyone was able to log in okay. And yeah, I got a little slideshow prepared to kind of just get you familiar with Kip and Whitney. So Kip and Whitney, you want to say hello?
Yep.
Hello, everyone.
We see some familiar faces.
Cool. So Kip and Whitney Schlegel from Marble Hill Farms. We'll hear from them today. Yeah, so I'm going to do a little intro, a little kind of set the scene, some context, and we'll get to see some pictures from their farm. And then we'll do more of an interview sort of thing. I've got a few questions prepared, / we'll just hear what they're up to. And then we'll open up to a Q&A if we want to have a little, if anyone is thinking of questions, be thinking of questions throughout the talk here. If you have anything, we can kind of chat it in either whenever you think of the question or at the end. And then we'll end with the Collide Quick Quiz, which is our signature this or that kind of fun little quiz to end on. And then if it's feeling right and people want to hang out and mingle, we can hang out and mingle we can do breakout rooms if you want to too, but that'll be after 12:30. Trying to, this isn't in person like it used to be at Collide. We used to mingle at the beginning and then have the talk, but I'm trying to make it fun for everyone. And so we'll do the talk right away and then mix and mingle at the end if you want to stick around. So with that said, I'm going to try to share my screen here. I didn't actually share it yet. How about this right now? And not quite there yet. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Sent. There we go. Cool. Okay. Does that everyone got you got the little sheep poking out there? Cool. Collide at the Mill. Welcome. So here, I just want to, we're not at the mill, but eventually we can be back there and having fun. And it's a center for co-working and community. And we do all sorts of stuff there, lots of programming and different events. And our main mission is to launch and accelerate high potential companies. So there's lots of events around that, accelerator programs, the G-Beta startup stuff, different things to help businesses figure out how to be a business. And as well as just being a co-working space, so you can have a desk. We've got a printer, we've got natural lighting, lots of desks. It's a great place to work. So that's the mill. Thank you to our sponsors. As always, German American they in particular sponsor Collide. They always provide our lunch for us. We're not eating free lunch today, unfortunately, but German American still continues their support, and they're really nice guys, and it's awesome. And they've been doing a lot with some of the loans and the small business help in the last couple weeks. They've been doing a lot for that, as well as City of Bloomington, IU, Indiana University, and Cook Group. They also help us do what we do, and we have a lot of other sponsors too. So thanks to them. Next month, that is July 18th. It's the third Thursday. We'll have Sarah Hamidovic. Not entirely sure how to say her name, but she's going to be really nice, and she does vet environmental engineering. So I also don't know exactly what she does, but cleaning up the environment from various like not oil spills, but stuff like that when the earth needs to be refreshed and renewed. So I'm excited to hear from her. That'll be next month. Okay, and here we are, Whitney and Kip. So they've been farming for almost 20 years or over 20 years at Marble Hill, which is just south of Bloomington. It's about 20 minutes south. And they are, in addition to this huge farm that has a lot of moving pieces, they are also full-time faculty members at IU for a combined 60 plus years. So they have their hands full. It's always surprising that they get it all done. So we'll hear about how they do it. So that's them. And here we go. So we're going to jump into a few slides just to set the scene and see what their farm is like. So they do cattle, sheep, and chickens, and several other animals as well. But why don't we open it up to Kip and Whitney? So you do rotational grazing and land stewardship. So tell us what that's all about.
Sure. So when Sam asked us to join you for Collide, he put out there the word sustainability, and so to us, sustainability is about land stewardship. We have livestock, and we graze our livestock to different pastures. We have cattle, we have sheep, we have chickens for eggs, and so in addition to our land stewardship and our moving our animals all around so that they always have a nice salad in front of them, we also think about how we can use our land well to provide for our local community, and providing beef and providing wool and providing eggs. So our land stewardship is about taking care of the land with respect to best practices for the land itself, best practices for the animals, a rotational grazing system that keeps them with fresh forage in front of them. And also it translates into a great product that we're able to provide to our local community.
So you've got grass-fed beef?
Grass-fed beef.
Out in the field there.
And pasture-raised poultry. You can see a picture of our egg trolley there. We have 2 of them, and they move about the farm so that the chickens are out during the day, and they have nest boxes that are housed in the trolley. And then at night, to protect them, in addition to their electric netting that protects them from predators, they also have get locked up in their trolley where they have a roost, and they hang out there and roost at night so that we don't have any predators such as raccoons and things like that that could sneak in and perhaps have a feast.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Getting muted. I think there's a picture of Wendell or Carson, the big white dogs.
Yep. So while our chickens don't have guard dogs, our sheep do. We have 2 great white Pyrenees that watch over our sheep as they're out in the pasture and keep them safe from predators such as coyotes and wild dogs and things like that. And so they live with the sheep, and their names are Wendell and Carson, named after Wendell Berry and Rachel Carson. So pictured here, this is Wendell.
Cool. I'm going to move on to the next slide.
Sam, I'm not seeing the Great Pyrenees.
Oh.
Where were they?
So he's right there with the sheep. Do you see the sheep?
I do.
And he's right in front. He's a big white blob.
Oh, I see. The chicken house is in the way, I think.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I see him. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Sam, you're muted.
Sorry, we kind of spent a little longer there on that slide, but here we have the farmers market products. So you want to talk about what you make?
Sure. So you can see the eggs that we get from our chickens, and then also shown here is the wool that we some of it is natural color. So they're Shetland sheep. They come in lots of fabulous natural color, and then we also plant dye the wool so that we can offer different colors that they don't come in, like yellow and green and so forth that you can see here. And so we harvest those plants from around the farm, and we dye the wool here on the deck of our sheep barn, so that we do it outside, and it gives me a chance to hang out with the sheep while we're doing dyeing, which usually occurs, it begins the end of July and then carries through till October.
Cool. I'm gonna keep moving here. So here we have the rhythm of the seasons. Yeah, you wanted to talk about kind of uncertainty and how you plan for the future with that?
Well, I think one of the things that makes farming a little bit different than any other kind of business, well, I'm sure there are other businesses that share this problem, but usually when you think about being able to sort of predict your environment and try to make estimates about what your customers and suppliers and your competitors are doing, you at least have some kind of sense that you can estimate or make some guesses about what's going to happen. And I think with farming, one of the things that makes it a little bit different is that we have all these uncertainties related to the environment in which we have absolutely no control. So a good example, and we can't really predict it, as good as the weather people say they may be, they're not. And a good example is we spend probably 40 hours putting in a monarch butterfly habitat, trying to follow very closely what the weather was doing, and then finding a 4-inch downpour of rain, which proceeded then to wash our seed away. And so things like that, we just don't, there's that element of uncertainty that I think makes it a little bit more anxiety producing on farming.
Okay.
So yeah, one way we do control the environment is for growing. You can see in the picture there, that's a high tunnel, so that we can grow. In this case, there's tomatoes and peppers, and there's also some indigo that we use for dyeing, and other things. Where you have a little bit more control, you also can start your season earlier and extend it out later as well.
But you don't really sell those vegetables at the market or anything. How much vegetable? You have one hoop house, right? Do you do a lot with that?
So yeah, we have two. We have one that's currently dedicated to, we grow strawberries in there. And then this, our larger one is where we grow our vegetables, and we also have a field that we grow our vegetables, potatoes and things like that, things that need a lot more space, melons. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. We don't sell that at market. It's part of our future vision for the farm. And one of the things that's really wonderful about our farm is, at least from our perspective, is that it's a beautiful place. And it's one of the highest points in Monroe County. And we enjoy sharing that with people. And so part of our vision for the future is to be able to do that with a farm to table. And so we've been honing our growing skills. We're pretty good at livestock, and so we had to get a little bit better at growing in order to be able to provide for our farm to table. And certainly we won't be able to provide everything for that, but we hope to be able to promote lots of other local farmers as part of that effort.
I'm going to slip in another question from further on in the interview right now. Is when I asked you, like, what, or in advance, I said, what is the question that you wish people would ask you? Because a lot of people ask, how do you do it all? But what would you wish them is, why is it important to you to farm?
Well, I think, yeah, that is the question I think we're most delighted and excited to answer, and we don't really get it that often. But I think that both of us came into farming with very little experience, and I think that's sort of one of the shocks, because we get asked all the time, so where'd you learn how to do this? And the reality is we learned by trial and error. There's nothing about what we've done that we came in with any experience or knowledge about, with the exception that Whitney has an animal science background and knows a lot about animal health. In terms of the farming component, we've really had to learn from making a lot of mistakes. And actually, I think that's in many respects the joy of farming is that it gives you a certain amount of independence, and there's nothing like getting things wrong to keep you humble. And so our lives are never boring. There's always something to do. There's always something to fix. There's always a problem that's arising. And that's a challenge that we really both, I think, thrive on.
And I would just add that as a scientist, I find it to be just one big experiment, and that just feeds my soul. So that's part of why we enjoy what we do. And when we do get it right, we're pretty excited about it.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna do one more slide, and then I think I'll quit screen sharing so we can actually see you when we talk, because I don't think, for the recording anyway, I don't think we'll be able to see people's faces. So here's the one more slide. Here we go. So farm events. You do a bunch of, you have shearing day, you do some camps and stuff. So just talk about that for a second.
Sure. So we mentioned our future vision for Farm to Table, and we have done some events affiliated with the Bloomington Community Farmers Market, and where we have hosted a farm tour and farm dinner. And we really enjoy sharing our farm with people, and also in particular, we really like sharing with children, and they're through camps and different education events, so that we like to partner with organizations in the community, with Boys and Girls Club, Girls Inc., Banneker community, and so that there are lots of opportunities, we think, to help children and adults understand the nature of farming and where their food comes from, and also, as the scientists, to integrate STEM education for students into that. So we run science camps in partnership with Wonder Lab. And then also shown here, we have, this is Girls Inc. I'm particularly passionate about women in science, and so we like to be able to do those types of events. And then Shearing Day gives people an opportunity to understand the tradition of shearing, enjoy the lambs, and just come out on the farm in springtime and see what's happening. It's a time of renewal and a time of hope. And sadly, this year it did not happen. So we will be launching our new website shortly. So look for an opportunity to name one of our lambs this year. We have 18 lambs that are in need of names, and this year's theme will be Native Indiana birds.
Cool. Yeah, shearing day usually falls around. Oh yeah, I got paint on my arm. Usually falls around Earth Day, right?
Yep, it's always around Earth Day. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, so that it is really a celebration of the land.
Cool. All right, here. So what's next? Here we have some sheep with their heads in the hay.
So yeah.
You seem to really like this photo. It's all over your website and your Facebook.
That's how we feel sometimes.
That's how we feel sometimes. And certainly when COVID struck, I think that was like, how we felt a little bit. And so thanks to a lot of folks for doing a terrific job of pivoting and thinking about how to support local farmers and local food. The Bloomington Community Farmers Market went with online ordering in April. That they had a pickup of those orders at the switch yard, and now it's moved to the market where they customers walk through and pick up their orders from the farmers. And this experience for us, sometimes there are things that you think that you'd like to do, but sometimes you just feel that they're too challenging, or you don't know where to start. And so in this case, it was the putting our products online And we knew that we wanted to do that, and we just weren't really sure what that looked like and how to do that. And that, so that the opportunity with the community farmers market gave us a vision for that. And so it allowed for us to say, hey, you know, we can do this. And so that's what we have moved to in our COVID opportunity. We took our head out of the bale, and we moved to developing an online store and developing a more robust website that will allow people to get to know our farm. And so that will launch at the end of the month, so that our products will be available for the 4th of July weekend.
Cool. Yeah, you had talked about, shoot, that you had kind of the relationship thing, that you want to use your website to kind of build your relationship and share your farm. I think that's kind of a part of the COVID thing with all the Zoom meetings, is that it does kind of make everything more accessible, that you're able to, like, people can't make it out to the farm for your particular event, but they can visit your website whenever they're able to. So that's kind of neat in terms of relationship. Do you think you'll do any video stuff, or is it a lot of photos? Or
I think we'll do some video, and we're also, I think, yeah, you're absolutely right, building those relationships and allowing people to take a tour of the farm and to see what's happening. We're also one of those things, the only time I ever used my social media really was to promote shearing day. And so now I'm learning how to better use social media to be able to share the farm with people, and where they can't, as you said, come out right now, but now they can see our lambs, they can name a lamb, they can enjoy a video tour, and so we're hoping that that will help us continue our relationship with people, and that we have also found that where I would have thought that online would distance you from people, that COVID really showed us that that's not the case, and that people do get to know you.
cool. Another part about that, the kind of the website stuff that we had talked about in advance, was that you used a third-party company that is good. It's their niche to, like, take farms to make online marketplaces. And so I don't want to get into that particular company that did that, but, like, just thinking about how that's kind of a niche or a sector, is to, like, find other sectors that need to be brought online during this COVID era. So
Yeah,
I don't know
absolutely.
exactly what my point is, but just thinking about that for other business opportunities, like, are there other, whether they're kind of rural things or what, but things that could be brought online, and being that third party that helps that sector.
Yeah, I think if you can find something similar, or businesses especially that are trying to start up, one of the things that I was shocked about when we started with this business was the number of farms that they're involved in, and I think they're trying to take advantage of the COVID situation, and we would not be able to do anything like what we're venturing out to do now without the support and help of the folks there. And it's an investment, but it's certainly an investment we think is going to pay down the road. Maybe not as much in terms of the online store, though obviously we hope that's going to be the case, but in terms of being able to market the farm and to advertise our events and to really turn it more into the sense of place that we're trying to cultivate, that's really difficult to do when you have so many other things going on.
What are some other examples of things you've done to kind of pivot, or the opportunities, or pairing short-term changes with long-term strategies?
So I think that the long-term strategy for us has been this cultivating a sense of place by hosting events and in bringing people out to our farm. And so with COVID, that hasn't been possible, but now I think we are, through our work with developing our online store and our website, we're positioning ourselves to be able to have, I think, a stronger presence in that, and also just greater recognition throughout our community for those who are looking. And people are now getting used to that. They look online. That's their that was the choice. And so we if we don't have something online at the market or something, people are now call us where so that they're getting used to knowing what's available, and reaching out to you for things that they need.
Yeah, I would add to that just something that Whitney had said earlier, which is that for both of us, what the farm does is it really invigorates our soul. And I think that one of the things that's a result of COVID is that people are, I think a number of people are sort of soul searching where life is at for them. And I think a number of them are thinking about not necessarily returning to the earth or returning to the land, but expanding their lives beyond what has been sort of cooped up now and controlled by virtual relationships. And so what we're trying to do, I think, is try to get people to be able to come out to the farm and find another aspect of the world out here that perhaps they haven't had a chance to really spend time with.
Yeah, it's great to get out there. I'm out there right now, actually, if you can tell them. Yeah, it's awesome to get out there. We've been out there several times, my wife and our 2-year-old, and we love it out there at the farm. There's so many animals and so much life and energy. I think we're basically at our time here, so I'm going to kind of wrap things up. We got one question that came in from Jane that I'll ask you here. If anyone else has any questions, we'll do them quick, and then we'll do a quick Q&A, and we'll kind of wrap things up here, or the Q&A and then the quick quiz. So I think everyone can see the chat, but I'll read it out loud too. It says, I think now you sell meat, etc., at the farmers market, but are there other locations where you sell your meat? If not, do you offer a co-op opportunity? Do you do your second question, same thing, second question, do you do your own slaughtering, or do you use Bloomfield locker or some such? Yeah.
Well, Bloomfield locker burned down about 5 years ago, so we don't
use them.
Don't use them. But we do use a processor. We have to be inspected by the USDA, and so you have to go to one of the very few processors that are really located in Indiana with inspectors. And that is one of the major dilemmas we're dealing with right now, is that we just took 2 beef and we're told that the next opening will be March of 2021. So that's a big problem for us in that aspect. We don't sell, we have sold to restaurants, and we sold to Blooming Foods for a while, but we don't do that anymore. But we are, as a result of opening an online store, we'll be selling directly from the farm as well as doing some deliveries.
Cool. And did that answer the? Yeah.
Just
You sell, what other stuff? You sell eggs, and then you sell wool.
Yep, and so any food item, protein source, needs to be licensed. So we have an egg license, and then by slaughtering at a USDA inspected facility that allows us to retail. There are other lockers, and certainly if you purchase freezer beef, that's not necessarily from a inspected facility, but it can be sold as freezer beef. And if you're buying, like if we were for our own consumption, we could process at a facility that wasn't inspected. And so, well, did you ask me another question, Sam? Sorry.
No, I think that's about it. I thought I had another. I might have had one in my head, but then I forgot. Oh, it's this. So you do you have beef cattle, but the sheep you don't really eat the mutton or anything like that. So talk about if you've named an animal, it lives.
The rules of the farm. Sam knows them well. So if you have a name on our farm, which all of our 100 sheep have a name, you're here for life. And so our cattle have numbers and not names. And our chickens are numerous and we don't name them either. So the sheep are used exclusively for wool. They're a heritage breed or a primitive breed. They are ideally raised for their fleece. It's a fine, nice fine fleece from stock that comes from the Shetland Isles, and they they're small, and that was one of the criteria we used in selecting. We wanted a primitive breed, and also you can tell that both of us have a fair amount of gray hair, and so as we age, we want to continue to farm. And so we've thought very carefully about how we can allow our farming practices to allow for us to age in place. And so a smaller breed of sheep allows for me to be able to handle my sheep on my own.
Cool. It's very practical. Cool. And yeah, I'm going to do the quick quiz here, but just it's fun to hear about your other animal. Name some of your animals and what they are. You've got, in particular, the fun picture I've shared is Pedro the donkey. He loves peppermints. If you're ever out there, bring a full of peppermints. What are some of the other animals you have?
Yeah.
Well, we have horses, a couple of horses and a couple of miniature donkeys who named Pico and Poco, or when they're misbehaving, Beavis and Butthead. But they really sort of provide more of entertainment aspect. Our donkey Pedro, we got to originally be with sheep, but he failed his job.
He got fired.
So now he's basically just a lawn ornament. But all the sheep are named after, we started out with sheep named after nuts, and then it went to cheeses, and then trees, and then herbs and fruits, and now birds and constellations. I don't know any of the constellations, I might add.
Yeah, and our horses, two horses. Luke is a Palomino, and Rocky is a Rocky Mountain Quarter Horse.
Cool. So a lot of life out there. All right, let's wrap it up. If anyone else has any questions, otherwise type them in now, or otherwise we'll do the quick quiz. And then if people want to hang out and mingle, I can like try to break you out into breakout rooms or something like that, or just talk to Kip and Whitney. Let's do the quick quiz. Are you guys ready for the Collide quick quiz?
Okay.
Sure.
So it's 2 words, and you just choose one or the other. Don't overthink it. Just one or the other, and or trick question, and you can come up with another answer. That's okay too. All right, here we go. And I guess each of you answer separately. Caterpillar or butterfly?
Butterfly.
Butterfly.
Farmers or ranchers?
Rancher.
Farmer.
Farmers and the ranchers can be friends, so you're good there. College students or elementary kids?
Elementary kids, definitely, no question.
Favorite professors. Okay.
College student.
Ram or lamb?
Lamb.
Lamb.
And lastly, chicken or the egg?
The egg.
Chicken.
Chicken. Cool. All right. Well, thanks. That's it for today. Thanks for logging on, everyone. We had quite a few participants here. This is awesome. thank you, Kip and Whitney, for taking the time to do this and preparing for it and stuff. That's been awesome. Got all those photos and stuff. And we'll see you next.
Yep.
Yeah, thank
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, it was great
You're
talking
welcome.
to you all. And if you have any questions or you want to know anything more, feel free to reach out to us.
Cool. So I'll leave the chat room open for a little bit here. If people want to just start chatting, they can. And then we'll see. I wish this were in person, but so is the times. Such are the times. And the next one will also be online for sure. After that, we'll kind of see how it goes. But the next one, July 18th, is the third Thursday with Sarah Hamadovic of Vet Environmental Engineering. So that'll also be really fun. So with that, I'll shut up. And if anyone else wants to talk to Kip and Whitney, feel free to hang out or log off, do what you want.
Thank you.
Hi, Kip and Whitney. We love you.
No,
Hi.
Hi, Lindsay.
I asked if she had any questions for the Q&A, and she said, chick, chick. And then she said, tickles. I don't know if you have responses to either of those, but.
Thank you, guys. Great presentation.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
joining. Yes.
I need to get to the mill and take a tour.
Love to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Well, I think people are signing off. So see you later. Happy Thursday.